Today we're looking at other little side factors for photosynthesis. So first we're going to talk about the rate of photosynthesis. And the speed can be affected by three different things. So first of all, that is light intensity. So the intensity of your sunlight. And so the stronger the light, it's going to excite more electrons, causing light reaction portion of the photosynthesis to happen faster. Second, we can change the amount of carbon dioxide. So the more ingredients to work with in the process through the cycle. And then next we have increase in temperature. So increased temperature accelerates chemical reactions to a certain degree. Obviously, if it's, 120 degrees outside, that might be inhibiting our plants a little. They might start dying from that, from drying them out. But temperature is a catalyst, so that does mean it is going to speed up our chemical reactions. Okay, so if you remember our conversation about carrots, right, the carrot itself is not green, but there are green parts to a carrot. So our question is, why would root cells in a plant not need a chloroplast? Well, roots are in the ground, not seeing any sunlight. So chloroplasts catch sunlight. That is their job. That's what the thylakoid and chlorophyll does. So since roots are underground, they are not exposed to any sun, which means they cannot do any photosynthesis. So they don't need chloroplasts. As I said, we're going to look at some alternative pathways for doing photosynthesis because wherever the plants live, they might need different roots or they might have different things affecting them that they need to adjust a little. So first, let's talk about some structures. So we have our stomatas, and as we said, these are like the pores on our leaves, on our plants, and what's happening in our stomatas is that our plants can lose water through them. So it's a pore, just like us, we can lose water through our skin, so can plants. They also are going to have CO2 enter from here and oxygen exit from here. So as I said, plants breathe just like we do, and so they need a place for this to come in and out. So because they have these openings on them, if it is too hot or too dry out, the plant will close its stomata so that it doesn't lose as much water and become dehydrated, which is a good thing. We don't want our plant to become dehydrated, but when this happens, this is going to eliminate our gas exchange that's happening. And we have carbon dioxide as an input. We need water as an input. So if we don't get these things, then we could be inhibiting photosynthesis. So when this happens, if it's too hot out or for whatever reason we are closing up our stomatas, our plants need a different route to do photosynthesis. So what happens? The levels of carbon dioxide are going to drop, and which is going to cause the levels of oxygen to increase if the oxygen can't escape. And remember, this is opposite of us. They are breathing out oxygen, whereas we are taking in oxygen. So when this happens, it's going to result in the process of photorespiration. So we're kind of combining photosynthesis and cellular respiration. So photorespiration is adding oxygen to the Calvin cycle instead of carbon dioxide. So we had carbon dioxide as one of our inputs, but now we can change that to being oxygen. So we're going to alter it a little. When this happens, because we're missing a carbon molecule, we're not making any sugar or any ATP. And this is wasting a lot of the plant's resources. We're trying to avoid this. So instead of doing photorespiration, there are two alternative pathways plants can choose to do photosynthesis. The first is called CAM, and the second is C4. So first, looking at CAM, we can see in our pictures that we have some sort of cactus and pineapples. And just looking at the picture, if you didn't already know, pineapples are quite interesting of a plant. You should look them up sometime. So CAM is done by cactus or cacti and pineapples. So what they're doing is that they're going to open their stomata at night and close it during the day. So this is going to help them from drying out in the hot environment that they live in. And so this is opposite of our normal plants. So this is going to work for them, but they're not going to have as much access to the things that they need. So because of that, it's going to cause them to grow at a much slower rate. I don't know about you, but you can buy pineapple plants at Walmart. They just take a very long time to produce you a single pineapple. So it'd be much easier to just buy them from the store rather than trying to grow your own, because it takes like a very long time to grow a single pineapple on one single plant. The second option, C4, if you look at our plants here, we have something you should be familiar with, which is corn, as well as something you're not as familiar with, which is sugarcane. So these two work in a similar way in that, so done by corn and sugarcane, what they're doing is they're partially closing their stomata during the hottest part of the day. So rather than closing it all day and just opening at night, they're just closing like in the middle of the afternoon when it's really, really hot out, but they're leaving it open the rest of the time. And so what this does for them is that it allows them to need about half as much water as a normal plant would. So for us here, corn, that's really good for our farmers, that they don't have to rely on so much water because these plants are just naturally trying to conserve it themselves.